right, good morning, everyone, and welcome back to another installment of the Malik Robinson Show. I'm your host, Malik Robinson, and today is September 8th, 2021. It is Wednesday, which means one more day before we officially get NFL football back. And we have a bit of news to cover today. Not really news, well, somewhat in news, but more like opinions to discuss because right now not really much is happening. Like I said, that is due to the fact that we're waiting on like football more towards like the end of the week to come around. So let's get straight into it. Let's get the easy stuff out the way. Baseball scores from yesterday. The Minnesota Twins defeated the Indians 3-0. The Pirates defeated the Tigers 3-2. The Mets defeated the Marlins 9-4. The Orioles defeated the Royals 7-3. The Blue Jays defeated the Yankees 5-1, which kind of caught me off guard considering Garrett Cole was on the mound, but Marcus Semien and Alejandro Kirk absolutely they carried. I don't know what else you can say about that. The Tampa Bay Rays defeated the Red Sox 12-7, and really it's behind Nelson Cruz. The 41-year-old Nelson Cruz homered twice and became the oldest player in Major League history to hit 30 home runs in a year. That is impressive. That's almost equivalent to that's equivalent. I'm not gonna say LeBron, but because I don't know how like major that is. But for right now, I'm gonna say that's the equivalent to LeBron winning a MVP or something at 41. You know, because like I said, I don't know how major that is in baseball, but it looks major. The Atlanta Braves defeated the Nationals 8-5. Ozzie Albies broke the game away in the 7th inning with a 2-run homer. The Cincinnati Reds defeated the Chicago Cubs 4-3. The Brewers defeated the Phillies 10-0, which is actually very convenient because on yesterday's podcast, I was referring to how the Phillies absolutely destroyed the Brewers by hitting like I think 6 or 7 home runs, and it was the other way around yesterday, and that turned out to be a pretty good result for the Brewers, which kind of hurts the Phillies in that division race. Next up, we have the Dodgers versus the Cardinals. The Dodgers ended up winning 7-2. In a very feel-good moment, Albert Pujols, St. Louis Cardinals legend, comes back once again to the crowd and hits a home run. It was very good. It was very cool to see before the at bat, him, Yadier Molina. It was very good because growing up, I saw the Cardinals, especially when they were winning World Series. David Freese, Matt Holliday, Wainwright, all those guys. Like it's very refreshing to see that. It made me feel good, and if I'm not mistaken, also in this game, Trey Turner hit 2 bombs. So that ended up resulting in a win for the Dodgers. But yeah, it was overall a feel good moment for anybody that watched the Cardinals growing up. Let's see, the Astros defeated the Mariners 5-4 in a walk-off fashion. Carlos Correa hit an RBI double to bring in Alex Bregman. Well, no. Alex Bregman tied the game, and then Correa hit an RBI double to get him the win. Next up, we have the Giants versus the Rockies. The Giants defeat the Rockies 12-3. I'll be honest, this looks like an easier series from the jump for the Giants, which means that they're holding on top of that division. But you got the Dodgers winning games too, so it's really up to who can keep it up, who can go the longest without losing. That's what it is for that division. Next up, we have the White Sox versus the Athletics. The White Sox ended up winning 6-3, and that is not good for Oakland because that is their 4th straight loss. And this is bad for a team that's still trying to compete in a division that's close. Okay, next up we have the Rangers versus the Diamondbacks. The Rangers end up winning 3-1. Nothing really much behind it. Both teams have losing records and are well out of playoff race. And next up we have the Angels versus the Padres. The Angels win 4-0. Now, if you were one of the people that watched this game, you are probably surprised to hear me say that, because Blake Snell in the 7th inning, through 7 innings, had a no-hit bid, and somehow, in some way, he blew it. He absolutely blew it, and ended up backfiring on him. And he also ended up with the loss, which is which is kind of sad because you can definitely tell he played great. It's just that 7th inning, I completely messed it up for him. And I don't know why, but when I saw that, it brought back a memory. And I'm sure I know it's not a good memory for Rays fans, but the memory of when Kevin Cash took out Blake Snell in the World Series, in the most crucial game of the year, and everybody was complaining. I would say this: in that moment, analytics. At that moment, who cares about analytics? But this moment, analytics win. Not gonna lie. So I'm gonna assume Kevin Cash is somewhere in his head, like I tried to tell y'all, but in this case, that wasn't the case. It really wasn't. So now let's get back into the standings. Quick check up on the standings real quick. The American League, the Tampa Bay Rays are leading the division by 9.5 games. I'll be honest, the way it's looking, they're holding on to that division. The Yankees are absolutely struggling against the Blue Jays, and I can see them struggling for much longer. So is the Red Sox. So I got the Rays winning their division completely. AL Central, Chicago White Sox, they're up ahead 11 games. They got it on lock. I don't see anybody coming back to win that division, or do I see them struggling? AL West, the Houston Astros defeat not defeat, but they're winning the division by almost 7 games. Seattle and Oakland are neck and neck. Oakland's only a half game back from Seattle, so it's interesting. It's interesting to see what's gonna happen with that part, but right now it's looking like the Astros had that on lock. NL East is still close. The Braves are still up by about 2.5 games from the Phillies, and right behind the Phillies are the Mets, who are 1.5 games back for them. So honestly, I don't really know who. I don't really know, because it's been looking neck and neck for so long, but the Braves have still had it on lock. It's just whoever starts to get a good winning streak going, that's who wins it. That's literally how it is at this point. Next we had the NL Central. The Milwaukee Brewers are, like I said, cruising. They're up by 11 games. I don't see them losing it anytime soon. And here we are, the NL West. The Giants are up on the Dodgers by 1 single game. And like I said, It's looking real. It's looking like my point is coming to fruition. I'm not gonna say anything yet, but it's looking like that point is coming to fruition. The team that won that series between the Giants and the Dodgers is gonna win the division. It's looking like that so far, but I'm not gonna get too ahead of myself. But it is looking like that. The Giants are still up in the division. And yeah, that's all for the standings, wild card standings. You have the Yankees and the Red Sox kind of having a hold of the American League wild card so far, and behind them you have the Blue Jays and the Mariners, who are about 3 games back. And then you have the Athletics, who are 3.5 games back. So those are teams that do have a chance of making it still. And then the National League, you have the Dodgers right now, who are up by a lot in the division. Well, not in the division, but the wild card. And then right here, this is where it gets interesting. You have San Diego and Cincinnati, who are basically neck and neck for that last wild card spot. And then behind them, you have the Phillies, who are 2 games behind, the Cardinals, who are 3.5 games behind, and the Mets, who are 3.5 games behind. Oh, and then look, you have the Cubs, 10 games behind, but they're not making the playoffs this year. I'm sorry to say it, but they're not making the playoffs this year. But it is going to be interesting to watch this. I haven't really paid much attention to the Reds, but I feel like the wild card game this year will probably end up being either the Dodgers in the Padres, or Dodgers versus the Phillies. That is my opinion, and I'm going to stick with that opinion. Can't change it. Now the Blue Jays, they have a good possibility of possibly trying to take over that wild card spot, because I mean, they won 6 in a row, 9-1 in their last 10 games. They're absolutely dominating right now. So if they keep it up, they have a good possibility of facing the Yankees or the Red Sox in that wild card. But right now, I want to say that the Yankees are probably gonna end up being in the wild card game. So, in my opinion, I think it's gonna come down to Yankees versus Blue Jays. That's my opinion. So yeah. That's how I look at it. All right, so that's all the baseball news that I currently have for right now. I'll make sure to update you all on that. I mean, the MVP races, they're still pretty good. I mean, nothing has really changed. People still have Otani and Tatis and Vlad in their top MVPs. So yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about that. And yeah, that's all it is for baseball. So let's go into NCAA. The new AP top 25 rankings have come out, and they came out kind of just as expected. Alabama number 1, Georgia jumped up to number 2 by defeating Clemson. Not really surprised to hear that, I'll be honest. Not really surprised to hear that. I figured they were going to be in the top 4. Although I didn't expect them to be number 2. But considering how well they dominated a team like Clemson that was ranked number 3, yeah, they deserve to be at number 2. So props to Georgia. And that I'm not gonna lie. See, this is what I was talking about. What is it, Monday? This is what I was talking about on Monday. Georgia is going to be. It's looking like the one competition that might actually be up there with Alabama, because Alabama, they're kind of Alabama is almost. I can't even say worse or better, because they look about the same as when they had Mac Jones and Najee Harris. They look about the same. And Bryce Young, I'll be honest, the kid is talented. The kid, look, he looks prepared, and that worries me. He looks prepared, and that's gonna scare a lot of people. But yeah, Alabama and Georgia are number two. Two SEC teams are number two, so that's good for the SEC. You have Ohio State at number three, and then you have Oklahoma at number four. Now I will be honest, and I'll be completely honest. Oklahoma. You know what? Actually, no. You can keep Oklahoma right there because now that I think about it, they still ended up winning. They did dominate the game, but that second half was just atrocious. I don't see that happening with them anytime soon because I feel like Oklahoma is just one of those teams where it's like they don't blow leads. They either take control of the game or they just don't. They just don't come back. Simple as that. So, yeah, Oklahoma's a solid top four. Texas A&M at 5. Clemson at number 6, although I do feel like eventually they will be back in that top 4 range. They'll figure things out. Cincinnati at number 7. Notre Dame at number 8. Iowa State at number 9. And Iowa at number 10. That is interesting. 2 teams from Iowa. You have Iowa State and Iowa both in the top 10. And what's crazy is they play this week, Saturday, on ABC. And I believe it's at 3:30 Central Time. That's gonna be the game to watch right there. Well, besides Ohio State versus Oregon, that's gonna be the game to watch. And then you have teams like Alabama. You have teams like Alabama playing Mercer. It's you know what? I'm not even gonna comment on it at this point. Am I even surprised? No. Alabama always plays these really horrible teams, but luckily it's at the beginning of the year and not how they did it a couple years ago where they played Citadel at like, what was it, November? Or yeah, it was like November time, and a whole entire college football world was just like the number 1 team is out here playing the Citadel, a team that has no business playing a top ranked team like Alabama at this time of year. And but like I said, luckily they're doing it at the beginning of the year. And literally it's I mean, the ticket price, it says it all. Tickets as low as $7. So all I'm gonna say is, do not expect me to analyze this game. I could care less if I'm gonna be honest with you and everyone else listening to this. I could care less if Bryce Young was to do something absolutely amazing. If he was to throw 8 touchdowns, in fact, if he could throw 10 touchdowns like that one FCS QB last week, if he could throw 10 touchdowns like him, I'm still not going to talk about him. Why? Because it's Mercer. So I'm not going to talk about that. And that's not just shading Alabama. That's also the other teams. I mean, if we're being honest, at the beginning of the year, besides week 1, there's nothing else to talk about unless they're playing like a really competitive team in their conference or ranking wise. It's nothing else to watch. I promise you, it's nothing for me to analyze. So please expect a short analysis on the games this week, because some of these ranked teams are they're playing not good organizations. Well, let me not say not good, because at their division they're good, but at the level of team that they're playing against, that's not good. But a game I do want people to watch out for a little bit, and I'm calling it right now. Hear me out. Hear me out. If they get blown out, I will take complete blame for it. But at the same time, I mean, it's the number 2 team. It's the number 2 ranked team. What else can I say? I mean, I tried. Watch out for UAB versus number 2 Georgia. All I'm saying is watch out for that. ESPN2 is going to be on ESPN2 at 2:30. I feel like UAB might actually give Georgia some competition. Hear me out. But I'm going to leave it at that. And we're going to go back to the rankings. So that was the top 10. Like I said, Iowa State versus Iowa. We will be playing against each other this week. A battle of 2 top 10 teams in the same state. It's going to be interesting to see. Number 11 is Penn State. Actually, now to think about it, was Penn State ranked number... Penn State was ranked number 12, right? If I'm not mistaken, they were ranked number 12. So I need to see real quick. Penn State. Wow, Penn State was number 19, so they pretty much took the spot of Penn State. But I mean, I said Penn State of Wisconsin, but it makes sense. It makes logical sense because I mean, you have teams like Indiana, LSU, Miami, and Wisconsin, and North Carolina, who all lost. They all lost. So that's like 5. What's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams that lost. So it makes sense to them to be at number 12 because you got teams that also got pushed up in the top 10. So Penn State, number 11. Number 12 is Oregon. Now, I'll be honest, Oregon deserves they deserve to drop a spot lower because at one point they were down. They were down. So in that game that they played last week, can't remember exactly who they played. I'm trying to see right now. Yeah, they played Fresno State. They were down by 10 at one point going into the fourth quarter and ended up winning by a touchdown. So yeah, they deserve to be at a spot down. 13 is Florida. Florida didn't really move. Makes sense. Number 14 is USC. They moved the spot up from being number 15 originally. Number 15 is Texas. Big jump from number 21 to 15. Now, like I said, I mean they played Louisiana. So it's nothing about the win. I mean, they did blow out Louisiana, but at the same time, they are 15th because of, like I said, losses. Simple as that, losses. Now we have number 16. We actually have UCLA, and I'll be honest, they deserve to be right there. They deserve to be right there. They beat the number 16 team and LSU. They were, and I'm looking at others receiving votes from preseason. UCLA only had 2 votes to be in the top 25. And now they're ranked number 16. Talk about proving the doubters wrong. Talk about that. So shout out to UCLA. They deserve to be at number 16. They played great. They played great against LSU. Number 17, we have Coastal Carolina. Coastal Carolina was originally ranked number 22, but now they're at 17. I didn't really pay attention to Coastal Carolina like that. I do know they were a sleeper team last year. So I guess I will start paying more attention to them. And number 18, we have Wisconsin. Makes sense that they dropped 6 spots, but I mean they at least they're not at the top 25 because I thought after that game that would be like, ranked number 22, number 23. So to see them at 18, they can be happy with that. Number 19, we have Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech was they actually had no votes. Virginia Tech had no votes to be in the top 25. But when you beat the number 10 ranked team in North Carolina, you best believe you're getting in there. So shout out to Virginia Tech making their way into the top 25. And then number 20 we have Ole Miss. Ole Miss was another team that also wasn't in the top 25, but they were. I'm looking at the others receiving votes. They were the second. They were the second team that had the most votes. So one win and they were kind of automatically in there. But at number 20, that's actually pretty good for them. So shout out to Ole Miss. Number 21 we have Utah. They jumped up 3 spots. So that's good for them. Number 22 we have Miami. Wow. They went from 14 to 22. That catches me by surprise. I'll be honest. Wow. I mean, yeah, they played the number 1 ranked team. They were ranked number 14. I mean, sure. I'm not going to say anything, but sure. But if it were up to me, if we're considering that, LSU kind of, maybe I'm thinking of it wrong, but if that's the case, not even LSU, North Carolina shouldn't even be at 24 then. North Carolina shouldn't be at 24. North Carolina should be at 22 if you're using that kind of logic. Well, actually, no. I can't even use North Carolina because North Carolina... Okay, never mind. I can see why... I officially see why Miami is right there. They played the number 1 team. They got blown out. They were already underdogs. LSU and North Carolina were ranked teams. They lost to unranked teams. So... excuse me on that. Maybe they figured it out. Maybe they did that. Okay, number 23, we have Arizona State. Arizona State. I'll be honest, I didn't even know they played this week. Oh yeah, they played Southern Utah. I've never heard of Southern Utah. Sorry if anybody's watching this is from Southern Utah. Number 24, we have North Carolina. I mean, yeah, you go from number 10 to number 24 after losing to Virginia Tech. So, I mean, I have no problem with that. And at number 25, we have Auburn. Oh yeah, Auburn was not ranked. But they did have 32 votes in the media poll. So, yeah, they made it in. Although, I'll be honest, I wouldn't have had Auburn right there. If it were up to me, I probably would have put Liberty right there. I think Liberty is a way better team than Auburn, but it's only week 2, and Liberty has a lot of time to prove themselves. They did it last year, so I have no problem with that. So in conference wise, for the top 25, SEC does have the most teams in the top 25 with 6, Pac-12 behind them with 5, Big Ten with 4, ACC with 4, and Big 12 with 3, the American Conference with 1 in Cincinnati, Independence with 1 in Notre Dame, and the Sun Belt with 1 in in Coastal Carolina. Yeah, Coastal Carolina. So that's all the changes that happened. So yeah, it's definitely gonna be interesting to see who moves up and who moves down. It's guaranteed to happen, especially since two top 10 teams are playing, and then you have Ohio State versus Oregon. So definitely gonna be interesting to see that. And next up on the news, is I have some not really much in the NFL, but the Saints do release Latavius Murray, which kind of surprised me. But apparently it was due to I guess they didn't come to an agreement. Well, actually, yeah, I guess they had like some financial issues and just figured they could cut him. But yeah, so um next up, I know I said something about the MVP race with Patrick Mahomes. Um, yeah, he is the favorite to win MVP, but I do think behind him closely will be um, will be Josh Allen, because I do feel like Josh Allen will eventually be a player that is a player that is an MVP caliber player. He played like an MVP last year, but I mean, with the type of year that Aaron Rodgers had, it's no doubt that he got it. So definitely gonna definitely gonna have some competition in the MVP race this year. Next up, I don't know how I didn't catch this. Well, actually, no, it was probably after. But Bradley Chubb was briefly detained because of a warrant to pretty much failure to show up in court for traffic violations. Um, I believe, yeah, he drove without a license that's suspended, and his license plates were expired for like more than 60 days. So um, I don't think that I do expect a fine, but I don't think it's going to impact them on the Broncos. So yeah, that's really like something that I had heard about that I kind of wanted to discuss. Um, the Cowboys do say that Dak Prescott is a full go for Week 1, so it's going to be interesting to see how that turns out. Um, yeah, that's pretty much all the news in the NFL so far. As far as right now, I mean, the Ravens did add Le'Veon Bell to the practice squad. That I do see that I do see them. I did see them signing him. I mean, with the loss of J.K. Dobbins and um, Le'Veon Bell, probably is a pretty good backup. Even though I'm pretty sure that um, Lamar Jackson's still going to take most of the carries and running. But actually, no, I'm not done because I need to talk about this. Mac Jones. Mac Jones said that he was not surprised to win the starting job over Cam Newton. But here's the thing: we don't know what happened behind the scenes. Some people thought it came off as cocky, but I mean, we don't know what happened behind the scenes. So maybe it was something that he knew to where Belichick was like, you know what, I'm gonna put all in on him instead of Cam. So It's gonna be interesting to see how that turns out. Hopefully, the Mac Jones experience. We'll see how the Mac Jones experiment works for them as they face the Dolphins this week. Um, but yeah, I just found that something that was taken out of context by people. They thought he came over as cocky, but it wasn't. I don't think it wasn't. I mean, as much as I like Cam, it wasn't. I mean, at the end of the day, we don't know what happened behind the scenes, and from what we heard, Cam Newton, Mac Jones is kind of teaching the playbook to him, but Cam was mentoring him, so I don't know how that could be the case. Maybe, like I said, it's something. It's just overall stuff that we don't know about. Now, that is actually all I have for NBA news. I mean, not NBA news, but NFL. Now on to NBA news. Basketball Hall of Fame is this. Basketball Hall of Fame ceremony is this week. It is actually Saturday, September 11th. It'll be at 7 p.m. Eastern time. I think it'll be on ESPN for sure. But you have names like Chris Bosh, Paul Pierce, Ben Wallace, and Chris Webber, and then you have Bill Russell being inducted in again, but this time as a coach. So Bill Russell will be a two-time Hall of Famer, which I believe that'll make him the fifth person. Yeah, the fifth person to be honored as a player and a coach. And then more of the names, some of the names is also being added in there. Rick Adelman, he was a coach for the Blazers, Warriors, Sacramento Kings, Houston Rockets, and Timberwolves in his 23 seasons. He had a good regular season record, pretty even record in the playoffs. He led the Blazers to the finals in 1990 and 1992, but they did not win because there was a guy named I believe the name was, who can I think? Oh yeah, Michael Jordan. Yeah, I mean, we just kind of leave it at that. You have Yolanda Griffith, who was an NBA legend. She played 11 seasons with the Sacramento Monarchs, Seattle Storm, and Indiana Fever. She was a 1999 WNBA MVP and Defensive Player of the Year, 7-time WNBA All-Star, and 5-time All-WNBA selection. She won a championship in 2005 with the Sacramento Monarchs, and she's a 2-time Olympic gold medalist in 2000 2004. You have Lauren Jackson, another WNBA legend, 3-time WNBA MVP, 2007 WNBA Defensive Player of the Year, 7-time WNBA All-Star, and 8-time All-WNBA selection. She's a 2-time champion with the Seattle Storm, and she's a 3-time silver medalist with she pretty much won silver medals with Australia. It was a little typo right here. I think they meant 2000, but I'm just gonna assume she was a 3-time medalist. More of the names that's in here. You got Jay Wright. He's being inducted in as a coach. Obviously, Jay Wright, legendary Villanova coach, 2-time NCAA champion with Villanova. Jay Wright. I mean, we don't really need to speak much on Jay Wright. We know his legacy. Tony Kukoc is also being inducted in. If you don't know about Tony Kukoc, he played with Michael Jordan on the Bulls and Scottie Pippen. 3-time champion, 3-time EuroLeague MVP before he came in the NBA, and he was the 1996 NBA Sixth Man of the Year. If you don't know who Tony Kukoc is, look him up. He was that guy. That's all I'm gonna say. He was that guy. And that's just some of the names that's being inducted into the NBA Hall of Fame this weekend. Now on to some other news. I want to talk about this because this pretty much be the last thing I'll talk about for today. Like I said, it's not really much news to talk about, but I do want to talk about this. Rasheed Wallace. In fact, just I need to look this up. Rasheed Wallace, if you don't know, former NBA player, former champion with the Detroit Pistons, now a coach for the now a coach for the Memphis Tigers. This man Rasheed Wallace went on record to say. In fact, I need to pull up the entire quote because I don't think y'all will understand like what the craziest part about this. Just 1 second. Oh yeah. LeBron James. I mean, yeah. Pretty much. Rasheed Wallace said something that most Jordan fans and '90s fans said, and I'll be honest, I never thought I would hear it from an NBA player like Rasheed Wallace. I never thought I would hear that from him. The man Rasheed Wallace said that LeBron James and Kevin Durant only had their success because of the era that they played in. Yes, the era is different, but at the same time, that is a very wild statement to say. I am almost positively sure that LeBron James is 6'8", 6'9", 250 pounds, would still have the same success in the 90s. I'm almost sure that would happen. Or similar success. How about similar success? I'll say that. And also, you have Kevin Durant, who is pretty much 7 foot, one of the best scorers in NBA history, who's just who dominates the league. But real quick, I'm going to take a quick intermission. I have to go fix something, but just think about that topic and then think about what I'm possibly going to say, because I'll be honest, I'm about to go in on Rasheed Wallace. All right, I'm back. I had to help with something, but it took way longer than expected, so I'm just gonna cut that little intermission part out. But back to what I was talking about. So, yeah, Rasheed Wallace said that LeBron James and Kevin Durant would not be as good had they played in pretty much the 90s era. That's got to be one of the dumbest things I've heard. I'll be honest. I've been in Facebook groups where they have said this. It's the dumbest thing I think I could possibly hear. First of all, especially with the Kevin Durant one. A 7 foot giant who can dribble and do everything scoring wise is not going to have success in the 90s. And LeBron, who is one of the, most dominant players we've seen in a long time since like Shaq, it's just, it's wild. And if I'm not mistaken, it doesn't make any sense. Because Rasheed Wallace, by the time LeBron came into the league, Rasheed Wallace was in his 8th season. And in his 12th season, LeBron proceeded to absolutely dominate the Pistons in the Eastern Conference Finals. And keep in mind, that's the same series where LeBron pretty much dropped like 25 straight points against them. So it's kind of wild hearing that from somebody that absolutely got dominated. Because people fail to understand. there was still physicality in the early 2000s and late 2000s. It was still some physicality. Yeah, sure, the rules got softened by then, but I mean, it was still dominant at that time. Like, it was still a little physical. And I just can't stand that people people just don't people just don't get it. People just don't get it. Like, LeBron, if LeBron truly wanted to be physical, he can. If we've seen it before. 2018 2018 LeBron was what, like, the most dominant LeBron we've seen since like 2007 LeBron. Or better yet, 2012, 2013 LeBron. In my personal opinion, 2018 LeBron was the best version of LeBron. That's my personal opinion. And that's a tough thing to say because LeBron has had a lot of dominant seasons. But what he did in 2018, it was just I couldn't believe my eyes. Like, I just couldn't believe it, how he was just dominating the game like that at his age. Now, sure enough, he didn't win because he had to run into Golden State, but for him to be an underdog in every series that year and still make it to the finals for 8 straight times, you can't say anything about that. You genuinely can't. But that's a wild statement for me to say, especially for the fact that Rasheed Wallace was barely even around that era to really say something like that. I would have understood if he was drafted in like 1991, 1992, like kind of like the same year Shaq, but bro, you got drafted in 1995. You barely had time to even experience the true physicality of of the 90s. And for you to say something like that when people like Shaq have said that LeBron would be at the same level that he is now in the 90s. That's a wild thing to say, Rasheed. And like I said, with Kevin Durant, it's not really much you can say about him. We're talking about a guy who is 6 foot and can absolutely just score at any level. No one, I don't care what anybody says. There isn't one player on this planet that can guard Kevin Durant. There is not one player in this world that can guard Kevin Durant one-on-one for an entire 48 minutes. And of course, you got the old heads, defending him because they swear up and down that that's the case and all that. And I do want to comment on this real quick. In fact, no, I need to pause the music because some people don't get it. If you are a fan of basketball in the 90s when it was really physical and all that, and a fight just kind of broke out of nowhere over a simple foul, get used to it and quit sobbing over it. It's not going to be how it used to be. If you want it to be how it used to be, make your own league and make it physical. Make it physical. Or you can just be stuck in the past and watch old NBA games for the rest of your life. If you truly hate how it is now. If you truly hate how it is now. Because it's not going to change. It's a new era. It's a new game. It's a new style of play. So to the old heads, the 90s fans who keep complaining about LeBron is soft, the league soft, this and that, everything soft about it, here's a solution. Quit watching it. Quit watching it. Or you can watch it and stay mad. Because I guarantee you, no one is going to be around you just to hear you complain the entire time. That is like me going to a football game and complaining that, oh, they don't hit in the head anymore. You know, I remember when nobody cared about being hit in the head, everybody would lay their body on the line and this and that. Bro, it's a reason that don't happen no more. It is a valid reason why none of that happens anymore. And it just doesn't make any sense. Like, it's like people in the 90s can't ever adapt to anything. Like, just shut up. Shut up and watch the game. You don't see any analyst for a professional company born in the 90s still complaining about how the game is played. You don't see that. So for the love of God, if you are a fan of the NBA in the 90s, and I'm going to reiterate it until it is engraved in your minds, because I like Rasheed Wallace. He's a coach for my college. I like Rasheed Wallace. But statements like that that I hear constantly in Facebook groups, NBA Twitter is more around like the new age. So they understand that, you know, the game isn't going to change and become more physical because they're used to one style of play. You people, the people that have been born in the 90s have had a long time to get used to how the game is now. Because, I mean, if we're being honest, it's not the same. It's not the same. Like, yeah, they used to beat up Jordan when he cut to the paint. What makes the game entertaining? What makes that part of the game entertaining? Because I guarantee you, if something like that happened to you, you'd be ready to quit. And that's just being 100. I've seen guys get mad because they didn't get a foul call at an LA Fitness. So I can only imagine how it would be for some of y'all playing in the 90s. Y'all would be ready to quit. And to criticize somebody who's to criticize people who have made success in a new age, a new game, new style of play, it's Bush League. Simple as that. Quit hating on it. If you're that upset about it, do something about it. And I can't wait for Adam Silver to simply be like, no. Simple as that. So, like I said, get used to it. The NBA isn't changing. Quit making statements saying LeBron and KD and all these other players wouldn't make it in the 90s. I'm so sick and tired of hearing that. I'm genuinely so sick and tired of hearing that. Because you want the physicality of basketball. You can make a petition for slam ball to come back. That was pretty physical. You can just watch football like a normal person if you want physicality. Because in reality, there should be no physicality about putting a basketball in the hoop. There shouldn't be the same level of physicality as it was in the 90s. There was just nobody to control and say, you know what, maybe that's not the right thing to do. But, you know, people are going to have their own opinions. They're used to everything. People in the 90s are used to just fighting over everything. They're used to seeing people fight over anything. So I'm not surprised, but it's dumb. It's dumb. And if you're one of those people, your opinion is really invalid. So I'm going to really need people to stop talking about it. Because it's not changing anytime soon. So get used to the way the NBA is played, or you can keep complaining. But at the end of the day, you're providing them money. So I'm going to need you to shut up and quit complaining about the game and actually watch the game and enjoy it. And even if you don't enjoy it, you're still watching it, which means you enjoy it at the least bit. Because it has been times where the NFL was unwatchable, and I genuinely didn't watch the NFL. I didn't sit there and watch it. So with the NBA, like I said, if you enjoy basketball, okay, find you a group of people, make a league, find a way for that league to be televised, make it physical, put something on the line that people were willing to fight for and make it physical. Because I guarantee you, nobody is going to agree to it. So like I said, you can make all the comparisons you want about LeBron, KD, and Stephen Curry, and Luka, and all these other people not being able to make it physical, and all this and that, not really being able to handle the physicality that Jordan did. You know what? Keep saying it. Keep saying it, because you're going to look stupid every time. 90s fans of the NBA are some of the most toxic people in the NBA community. And they don't seem to change. They don't seem to understand that it's not going to change. So stop complaining. And that's all I got to say on it. Because if I talk about it more, I could really make I could make a whole other episode about how much I want to talk about 90s fans in the NBA, because they are some of the most frustrating people to talk to. Some of them, most of them, majority of them know exactly what they're talking about. But it's the ones that absolutely have no sense, that have nothing to say once you prove them wrong. They absolutely grinds my gears, because they know they're wrong, and they still find a way to be like, oh, you wouldn't understand, it's a different era. No kidding. It is a new era. That's the point I'm trying to make. You can't make that comparison. And as far as Rasheed Wallace goes, like I said, I like Rasheed Wallace. He's cool. He's a cool person. But you only played in the 90s for about 5 years. You were drafted in 1995. You were there when the new era was the thing. So why didn't you ever become like really? Why did you never become like a, you know, a 30-point scorer like, you know, LeBron? You know, why did you never become a 4-time MVP? You know, why have you never made that many All-Star games? Since it's a new era and anybody can just succeed in it. Just saying, Rasheed, you know, you didn't find the same success. Instead, you got dominated. But like I said, before I really become toxic and start going in on this topic like I've been going in on for, like, I'm pretty sure 15 minutes, I'm going to end it there. I am going to end it there. You can tweet me your opinions on that topic. I'm open to all opinions. I am open to discussing all of the opinions. I have no problem with that. You can discuss it with me on my Twitter page at officially Melek. You can also follow me on Instagram at official Melek Robinson, even though I prefer you to do it on Twitter because it's much easier to answer things on Twitter than Instagram. So make sure to follow my Twitter if you really want to debate, and follow the Twitter if you support me and want to hear when the new podcast is up and stuff like that. And yeah, I'm going to actually, I do have some news, but it's really not much. Carson Wentz will suit up for week 1 against the Seahawks for the Colts. That's a good sign for them. Still no update on Quentin Nelson. I'm pretty sure he'll start though. So that's a good for the Colts. But it'll be interesting to see how the season plays out. But like I said, make sure to follow my Twitter and my Instagram. This podcast will be uploaded Monday through Friday on Spotify and YouTube. I'm not sure about Apple Podcasts. I might have to cut ties with them because for some reason, Apple Podcasts wants it to a point where they want to make you all pay. They want to make you all pay for it, and I don't like the idea of that. It is too early for me to have people pay for it. So for right now, the podcast is only on Spotify and YouTube until I get the issue with Apple Podcasts figured out. And if I don't, I'll make sure I'll let you know that the podcast will only be on Spotify and YouTube. But as of right now, it is only on Spotify and YouTube Monday through Friday. Every morning and afternoon, depending on what time it goes up. Be on the lookout for it. Like I said, it's on Spotify at the Melek Robinson Show and on YouTube as the Melek Robinson Show. Both episodes will be the same for either platform. It's just which one you prefer to watch on. But like I said, I'm open to all criticism, all ideas you want to hear about, anything you want to see me talk about. an opinion you want me to talk about, I'll be open to talk about it. You know, if there's anything you would like to see happen within the show, you know, any changes and stuff like that. I'm sorry that this episode is longer than it should have been. I thought it would be, but that Rasheed Wallace thing just, I had to vent about it because I've been wanting to vent about it for so long on a public platform, but I haven't had the opportunity to. But I'm going to leave it at that. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Like I said, it is Wednesday. One more day until football. One more day until pure happiness for all sports fans. So, like I said, I'm going to leave it at that. God bless you all and have a good rest of your day. Peace out.